All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about the power rule for exponents. What happens when you raise an exponent to a power? Sometimes we call this power to a power. Power to a power. Well, in this case, we've got 2 to the power of 3 being raised to the power of 4. Well, what that would look like if we were to write it out the old-fashioned long and drawn-out and cumbersome way, that would be equal to 2 times 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 3, which that would equal 2 to the power of 12 after you added all the exponents together. Is there a quicker way? Well, yes, there's a quicker way, because when you do a power to a power, the shortcut is you just multiply the exponents together. Now, of course, you have to make sure that all the numbers have the same base when you're doing this. But anyway, if you multiply the 3 and 4 together, you get 2 to the power of 12. As you can see, it works the same way. Well, as you can expect, we have a power rule for logarithms that works not exactly the same, but in a very similar way. So let's go ahead and dive right in, okay? So in this case, we have the property log base b. And then you got the log base b of the number m to the power of k. Well, the property is that it's equal to the k times the log base b of m. Notice that they took the k that was inside of the parentheses on the left-hand side and just stuck it out in front of the equation. So what does that look like? That looks like this. Here's an example. 2 times the log base a of 7. Well, what does that look like? Well, let's take a look right here for a moment. Okay, if I'm looking at it in this way, I've got 2 times the log base a of 7. Well, this 2 is my k value, which in this case, this was the value that was in the exponent. And then this 7, that was my base or my m value. Okay, and so keeping that in mind, I'm just going to put this in just like the property says I can. I can say 7 to the power of 2. So all of these that I've given you, log base a of 7 to the power of 2 is equal to 2 times the log base a of 7, or to make it a really quick and short one, log base a of 49. All 3 of these expressions that I've given you are equal. And so what I'd like to do is just give you a couple more examples so you can get a feel for how this works. All right, so you have the log base 4 of 64. Now think about it for a minute, okay? Considering the number 4 and 64 are related because you can multiply 4 by itself over and over and over again and eventually get 64. That's right, because you can say it's the log base 4 of 4 to the power of 3. Okay, so 64 and 4 to the power of 3 are the same thing. And so when you work that out, if you want to simplify, now you can take that 3 and you can pull it down in front, and it looks like this. 3 times the log base 4 of 4. All 3 of these expressions are the same. And so keep that in mind if you have to simplify power, because what you're going to do on one of your exercises on 10.2.3 is you're just going to practice simplifying those logarithmic expressions, and then eventually you're going to get to solving logarithmic equations. So if we have the one that looks like this and we want to do it the other way, 5 times the log base 6 of 2, we want to rewrite that. Maybe we don't want to have the multiplication out in front. We want everything inside the parentheses. Well, we can remember that that's equal to the log base 6 of 2 to the power of 5. And so when you work that out and then you do 2 to the power of 5, you evaluate that, of course, you get 32. So all 3 of these are also the same. And then finally, log base 8 of 64. If you rewrite that, you know that 8 to what power makes 64? That's the power of 2. So log base 8 of 8 to the second power. And then if you just want to rewrite it, you can say 2 times log base 8 of 8. So by the way, just so you know, on your SATs and different types of tests, they'll use little tricky ones like this that are very weird. And by the way, log base 8 of 8 is actually 1. Log base 4 of 4 is actually 1. So those are just little things, number properties that you can get rid of. I know that we've talked about different ways to say 1 this year. Well, this is another way that you can say 1. Log base 4 of 4 is another way to say 1. Log base 8 of 8 is another way to say 1 as well. And so before you stop the video, I want to give you a question to answer involving this property.